Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I am glad you guys are here. I want to take a quick second and thank the channel members. Thank you all so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. And thank you anybody who's come in and stumbled across my knife and my EDC content. I really appreciate you being here. If you're so inclined and you hit that subscribe button and that that subscribe button and that bell notification, you like it only if you want to, and you hit that subscribe only if you want to. But it would help the channel, would help me out, and it would keep you updated when I release new content. So today is kind of a treat. I've been carrying this knife for a little over a week, and it's a prototype, and it's in a Northwood leather slip, which should tell you something. It is the Divo Nip slip. Guys, as you know, if you followed my channel for any amount of time, or if you just followed it recently, I'm a huge fan in Divo knives, and particularly the Divo Nip. The Divo Nip was kind of the knife that really catalyzed it for me and made me realize they were on to something really, really cool. This is the original Nip next to the Nip slip. So you can tell it's the same type, same size, small, elegant little knife. The Nip, if you guys remember, small little Wharncliffe sheep's footy blade, great utility knife, fantastic ergos, fantastic finger choil, everything that I like about a small knife. The Nip checked the boxes, which is why I bought 3. So this is the prototype, and if I'm not mistaken, the final prototype of the Nip slip. When I say the final prototype, my understanding is this knife was, I know this knife was manufactured, OEM'd by QSP for Divo, and this is going to be the OEM, I think, about 99% that they are going to go with. Now, what I don't know is the different colorways that are going to be available. I should. The blade steel is about 95, 99% going to be S90V or better, or something equivalent. It's going to be a high-end steel, premium steel. The handles are titanium with a carbon fiber inset, a stainless spring. The tuning on this knife, the walk and talk, people say, and I realize a lot of you that means nothing to. It meant nothing to me just 7 months ago when I started getting into slip joints. But when you measure the amount of pull it takes to get the knife from close to half stop, in this case, it's probably a good solid 5. But that is not difficult because you're not reserved to using your fingernail like you did on some of the older grandpa slip joint. This one you can simply grab the long nail nick, makes it very easy to open to half stop. And then it stops at 90 degrees. And then you snap it open the rest of the way, which locks it into place. When I say lock it, it's not locked like a locking knife. It's locked by that spring. So you have to give it a good bit of force, about a 6 on a scale of 1 to 10, to get it to close back up to half stop. But you notice it doesn't close all the way down unless you put more pressure on it. And those are safety features and just results of the way that the locking mechanism, the spring, works. But what you'll notice about this little knife, or what I noticed, and what I've instantly fallen in love with, is it's a very nimble, small little package doing what I think the Nip does amazingly well, which is take advantage of this forward finger choil so that the knife is very comfortable and ergonomically pleasant to cut with. Whether I'm doing utility cuts, whether I'm slicing, whether I'm opening a package, whatever the case may be, the Nip slip is every bit as comfortable and is inviting to hold as the the nip is. And what you notice is anyone, I'm going to let my squirrel brain take over. If you've never tried a slip joint, or you've never really been interested, or you're like I was, you had a childhood trauma that kind of held you back from getting one, this is a fantastic entry level, and I'll show you why. As you have your finger in this nice choil here, if the knife accidentally closes on you, it's only closing to half stop. Your finger's in the choil. So if you were going to close it right here, recklessly, like I wouldn't, you're still not coming into contact with the blade there. So it's a knife that, sure, you can cut yourself with any knife, but it's a knife that is, I think, designed and engineered to make that nearly impossible. Because when I'm using this knife in a grip, I'm putting pressure right there. The blade, yes, I can flex it in my finger, but I also know it's a slip joint, and I'm going to use it as such, which is very, very reliably, and it's just a super, super handy little knife. I've carried it in that slip. When I'm ready to use it, I just simply pop it open, make my cuts. I hadn't been cutting a lot with it because it's a proto. I have opened a couple of non-knife related packages, but what I can tell you is it's extremely well done, perfectly centered, as QSP is so well known for doing. I need to grab a QSP knife so we can look at it, but it is, I think, and I hope, because I know that Kevin told me that they had several prototypes that came in, all of which were done extremely well, but that he thought they decided to go with QSP. QSP is the OEM that did the Hedgehog, one of my favorite slip joints, and the custom Hedgehog for, or the exclusive Hedgehog for traditional pocket knives, which is the one I'm holding here, an M390 hollow ground with a beautiful carbon fiber handle. I will tell you, and you guys can look too, I think the carbon fiber on the nip, to me personally, is more appealing. I love the way that the pivot collar, and I don't know if this is the way it'll be in its final form, but I love that the way that the pivot collar draws out on the highlights in the carbon fiber, and I love the way that Goofy Lefty even put orange thread, because he's so bougie and plans all his shit out so well, to match. I think it's just gorgeous. It's just an absolutely fantastic little representation of a slip joint. Let's do a couple of quick size comparisons, then we'll measure it, then we'll weigh it. We'll do our recommended Satu grind, reground, absolutely gorgeous Formax, and the Civivi Baby Banter. And real quickly, we can kind of take the bug out, the mini bug out of the equation, right? Because it's going to be smaller. It's about the size of the Civivi Baby Banter. I did a review a couple of days ago on this little chipmunk from Vostede, another small knife. It's a good bit smaller than the chipmunk. And we've already looked at it next to a couple of nips, almost identical in length. One thing that I noticed and that I really like, and again, this is a prototype, but it is much narrower because it's a slip joint. The internal mechanism doesn't have to be the same. Comes down very, very acute and thin behind the edge. I don't think I'll measure that today because it's a prototype, and I don't want to give you any dimensions that, you know, change in the final form. But let's do a couple of size comparisons against a couple of other small knives. This is one of my TRM nerds. And this is my ZDP Spyderco Dragonfly. So guys, it's about the size of the Dragonfly and about the size of the Nerd. The size of the nip. Let's look at it next to the Jack Wolf low drag jack, which is going to be much smaller than. The reason I broke this knife out, guys, is I'm a Jack Wolf fan. I love my low drag jack. I love my feel good jack. The quality is very consistent, guys. I know that Jack Wolfs are different, but I'm just telling you, looking at it from my brain, this knife has done every bit as well. Let's look at it size-wise compared to one of my favorites, my Yellowbone GEC Barlow, to which is filthy, but it is going to be a good bit smaller than my Barlow. It's the OCD in me coming out. And let's take a look at a couple of small knives. The knife that it kind of reminded me of, not because it looks like it, but because it's different. And because I always said the Q-Vis Vanish is a great knife for someone who's never experienced a slip joint or never had the really want for a slip joint, because it's such a unique little knife. And I think of the Nip Slip kind of in that same unique package, but that it is going to be a little bit bigger than the Vanish. And then we'll look at it next to one more GEC, my little keychain knife, which is a small little knife, but it's a good bit bigger than my keychain knife, which was expected. So about the size of the Nerd, about the size of the Dragonfly, about the size of the OG original Nip. And let's break out our Javon Amazon replacement promotional tape measure, and we will see that this comes in at 5.5 inches tip to tip by my measurement, with the blade that, depending on where you measure it from, we'll call it 2.25 inches, between 2.25 and 2.5 inches. The cutting edge on this little blade is 1.75 inches. The measurement that I use for a handhold, if you measure it from this back area, you're 3.25 inches from right here to right here, right? Now you've got this whole handle that you can rest your pinky on. So if you're looking at that dimension, you're closer to 3.75 inches. So just a super sweet, nimble little package. Let's do this. Let's see if we can get an overall thickness on this little guy. 0.41. Blade stock, which will probably change. 0.1200. I'm not even going to try behind the edge because it is thin, deep, deep, hollow ground, beautifully done. Belt satin, just exactly the one I'm going to get. I mean, I'm definitely, the long story and the short of it is I'm a Nip guy for whatever reason, and I've already communicated with Lefty, please don't make too many different colorways. I think they're going to do 3, maybe a few more, but I am going to only get one, but I am definitely going to buy one. I think they are fantastic knives. I've just enjoyed the hell out of carrying it. 2.2 ounces. 2.2 ounces naked. And in Troy's Northwoods leather slip, comes in right at 2.6 ounces. And that's how I've been carrying it in my pocket, in my left pocket. Today, ironically, in my other left pocket, I've been carrying my Focus Works F3. In my right pocket, I'm carrying a proto that showed up from one of the pass-arounds yesterday of the Stout V2. Spoiler alert, I've never liked the Stout before. It has not left my pocket. I totally dig it. And the fixie on me today is the Boker AK1, the Boker Daily Carry AK1, G10 handles, and a very understated N690 American Tanto blade. Carrying that in my lower pocket. And in my left pocket is my Nip slip. So guys, that in a nutshell, without going too long-winded on this review, is what I think is going to be a very exciting knife when it comes out. I know a lot of people took advantage of the Nip. I hope, my personal hope, is people give this knife a try who haven't tried a slip joint yet, who are thinking about slip joints but never really liked, like I didn't, like much about them, didn't find them exciting, didn't find them fidgety. I think there's a lot to love with this little knife. So this is the Divo Nip slip. I'm going to put it back in a box and send it back to Brother Lefty, and I thank him and Divo Knives for letting me check it out. Hats off. I think it's a fantastic little specimen. Again, I have a soft spot for nips, but guys, it's such a great small knife. When you look at the usable handle on some of my favorite knives that are set up for ergos, my TRM nerd, and we all know the beauty of the Spyderco Dragonfly. Guys, the Nip gives me, and the Nip slip gives me that same handle width. So I just think it's a great little knife, and to see it coming out in a slip joint, wunderbar. I am stoked. I look forward to it. I appreciate you guys taking the time and listening to me rant about it. I appreciate it. All I ask is please, please, please look out for the guy or gal to your left. Please look out for the guy or gal to your right. Please look out for each other. Please go forward with love in your heart, and always, if possible, choose debate, not hate. I love you all. Peace.